So today we're going to take a look at Team Liquid's perhaps worst ever performance. I think so, at least, or at least what I can remember. And it's against FPX. And this is just comically bad at certain points. And some of you might know some moments that I'm referring to, but we really need to talk about it because some of it was just like mistakes that you'd think like, what is going on? Like, is this a bronze lobby? Some of it is like just uncoordinated team play and looking like a team that didn't really know what was going on. And this is Team Liquid's map pick, by the way. You know, it's not a map that they were kind of like, oh, we weren't expecting it, so we weren't really prepared. This is their map pick for this game. And so there really isn't much of an excuse. And it ends up 13-6 to FPX. And 4 of those 6 rounds were Liquid winning both pistols and then the rounds after those pistols as well, where they had guns and FPX didn't. So they won 2 out of the 15 kind of other rounds that existed in the games that, you know, potentially could go either way. They won 2 of those. And, well, FPX, to put a bit more context into it, are running a sub. Batty G is subbing in for Angel, who's their IGL as well. So they had a sub IGL in Xiao, who I'm not sure how much IGL experience Xiao actually has. And they had running in Batty G as well as a sub player who's come in last minute because Angel is in Ukraine. So they're playing against a team who, you know, aren't at full strength, basically, and they got destroyed. And this was comically bad at times, but let's take a look at some of the mistakes that they made. And it starts off in round number 3, and there you go, it's 2-0 to Liquid. They won the pistol round. They won the pistol round with Nevera getting an ace, and that means that he has a lockdown ready for round 3, which is insane in and of itself. But here we go, they send in the lockdown, all is well, and they are going to enter in onto this site. As you can see, here we go, they get in onto site, Killjoy ult's about to end, site's theirs for free. But you might wonder, why does the spike not go down? And we're going to analyze that in just a hot minute. But there's Nevera, who has the spike in the middle of A main after they've already got the site, dying. And eventually the spike is never going to go down in this round. And sure, they have worse weapons, so, you know, it's not like it was never going to be easy for them by any means. But it's, you know, they had the site and they probably would have had a better chance had they just planted the spike. We end up with Solkas in a 1v5 without the spike, separated from it in a smoke with no chance. So how did we get here? You might be wondering. And why was Nevera out there in the open with the spike? You know, that was kind of a costly choice. Why did he not just plant the spike? Well, let's take a look at his movement, shall we, on the map. So here he is with the spike, as you can see. Killjoy ult's just ended. There we go. But they're on site, right? They're here, and it looks like he's about to go plant. But actually, he puts his turret up first. Fair enough. That's a perfectly fine thing to do, right? The door has been closed, by the way. But instead of planting after planting his turret there, he decides to put his alarm bot down and then comes back to the middle here. Now, why he chose to come back to the middle and not just plant the spike, I don't know. My best guess here is that he doesn't have the spike. That's the only thing I can think of, is that he doesn't know he has the spike. Which, if that is the case, how is that happening at this level? But that literally is the only explanation I can think, that he's actually trying to, you know, he's put down his turret and his alarm bot, and he's trying to just get back out to A main, you know, as someone to then guard the spike, right? How does he not know he has the spike? How do you not know that at this level? How is that not being communicated to people? I don't know, but it ends up costing them this round, and this was just the first of many basic mistakes that Liquid make in this game. Okay, and now let's come to round number 5, and we need to take a look at some of the Liquid utility here, because Link has 2 stars available to him, Scream has 1 flash available to him, and, you know, that's what they're probably going to need to, you know, try and get in on this site, particularly on a save here with worse guns. You know, that's basically all they've got. But you're going to see that they end up not using, like, the little utility that they have to try and get into this position. So let's take a look at it here, round number 5. So they're going to make a play towards B main. Here's Scream's one and only flash. And it got Nevera here, I guess, which doesn't really matter at all. And that was their one flash that they used, you know, that could have been used, you know, potentially to try and get onto site. Instead, it was just randomly thrown there. I'm not even sure it flashed anyone. And it got Nevera to, hey, it got Nevera to here. Let's see what Nevera can do with this position. Well, let's watch for the next big mistake. Because Nevera jumps here, I don't really know why, and seems like he wants to go in, and then gets sucked in and just dies for free. The rest of his team are nowhere near him. You know, Solkas is getting the orb, so that shows you how ready they were to really make this hit. But Nevera thought, let's go, because Link had used his 2 smokes. So they've used their other bit of utility that, you know, might help them get in onto the site with those smokes. And instead they decide, no, let's not use those smokes. Instead, let's just run away. And they're going to end up re-hitting B site with no smokes, and of course are going to end up losing this round. Now let's come to round number 7, and what we really need to look at here is where the spike is, and I just want you to take a look at where Scream is and where these players are, right? Like, they're kind of in a position to make this a hit, and that's exactly what they are going to do. So let's take a look at what happens, shall we? As we run this forward, we're in a 4v4. Again, Liquid are on a save here, but we're in a 4v4, so like, you know, it could go their way if you know, they play this right, if they play their cards right. But as we see on the map here, Scream has just ran past the spike, didn't want to go get it. These players are coming up towards short. Scream initially goes back. Let's just watch his point of view here. He's starting to go back and realize, oh, I need to go get the spike. And then just decides not to. He just turns back and decides, no, I don't want to. Now, for the rest of this round, we need to play out a bit of a hypothetical here. Because them not having the spike, I have no idea why they didn't take the spike. But again, Liquid are going to pull out the classic Liquid. We just all have really cracked aim, so we're actually going to end up making something of this round. But we need to just play a little hypothetical game here, because here we go. We end up in this 2v3, and then Scream, I think, is going to get another one. We end up in a 2v2. Here's where the hypothetical comes in. I want you to imagine that Scream hits this shot, which he's very capable of doing and killing Batty G here. If that happens, I just want you to look at the map right now. Because actually what happens as we play this through is Batty G ends up killing Scream instead. But had Scream got that kill, let's just take a look at the map. Scream would have been here, Batty G would have been dead. Two of them would have been here, the spike would have been back here. So one of them probably would have had to run back here. Now they had no idea where Xiao was, so let's presume one of them does run back there. Because there's only 45 seconds left in the round, so if they walk both ways, you know, you're getting close already to like time being up, and so if Xiao gets that kill, you know, it could be round over. So you might need to run, to be honest, all the way back here. So let's pretend that Xiao then hears that, and he can just get this kill for free and guard the spike, and now he knows where the spike is, and he knows where the other player, you know, has been. So they probably end up losing this round, potentially either way, or at least having this round be a much major, big risk than it actually needed to be had they just gone and taken the spike, which they could have easily done at any point. And I still have no idea. I'd love to hear any of your explanations. Why did they leave the spike there? And now let's come to round number 9. And what we see in round number 9 is that we have, again, another Liquid save. But what's going to happen is, again, they found the first kill with Yampy hitting this correct shot with a Marshall against an op. Classic Liquid, right? And so now they're in this position where, you know, they have, you know, some pressure towards A, which is perfectly fine. It's all going reasonably well for them. What's going to end up happening here, though, is Yampy is going to get killed. He only has a Marshall, right? They're trying to get this gun, probably. He gets killed by better weapons. Navera sees that there's two. There's not much really he can do with a worse weapon. But what Navera is about to do is something that you might see in a bronze lobby or an iron lobby, to be honest. I think if your bronze teammate did this, you'd probably be wondering what the hell they were doing. Because let's watch Navera. He's just going to run it back and die to mid. If someone in your bronze lobby did that, don't tell me that you wouldn't be like, what are you doing? Like, what? Where are you going? What is going on? I have no idea why he did that. Maybe he thinks that it's smoked, but he'd ran past here and it hadn't been smoked before. So I really don't know what he was thinking in that moment. Very odd decision, but it gets funnier and it gets worse, and this is the real delete the VOD moment, because they actually managed to get in onto the site. Here are the Liquid players, they're on A site, and then Soulcast presses the wrong button and pulls out his ult and has to just put it back. Now that one obviously is just like an unlucky thing, but it's just like, this was what Team Liquid's day was, and then funnily enough, guess what they get punished by? Because there's a Killjoy ult. What can destroy a Killjoy ult? It's overall. It's overall that they just used, and they end up in a 2v4, and you're like, oh, well, they would have lost anyway, right? Well, actually, no. Because, again, this is Team Liquid, and Team Liquid just have this immense power of just doing random BS that wins them rounds. But because that Killjoy ult ticks all the way down, they end up in a 1v1, but Scream gets detained, and that ends up costing them the round. And now let's come to the very next round, and this time it is a gun round, so let's see what Liquid have planned. Well, they're going to get Yampy in this aggressive mid position, and they're gonna get him up there, right? Artist misses a shot. He's a bit lucky that he missed that shot anyway. And if we take a look at some of the utility that they used here, so they did use a Sova Dart here. They do have an Astra Star there as well, but that's pretty much all it is. And one thing I want you to keep an eye on is just how isolated Yampy is here, because he uses his dash, and so he's completely away from his team. He starts to run into two, and Batty G, and he gets alarm dotted as well. Batty G is able to spray him down. If we take a look at where the rest of the Liquid players are, well, they've got this. You know, they got a bit of mid, I suppose, from that play. They cost one player for a bit of mid. This is in a gun round, so it's a, you know, there's no excuse here for what's going on. I have no idea why Yampy is completely alone there. I had no idea really what the plan was, because if you are going to do this kind of fast pressure thing, what you'll normally see, you know, because that will draw rotations as it is, there's 3 players all looking at Yampy here, and that's why he dies. Normally what you'll see off the back of this is fast pressure elsewhere, whether it be on A, whether it be on B, right? There'll be some fast pressure somewhere else to punish this kind of thing, right? Where you can catch people, you know, like this KO here is like isolated on his own. So if this was like, you know, a fast A split here, this KO would be in trouble, they'd lose the site, right? That's what good teams do. That's what teams, you know, have thought about everything. That's the kind of thing that they'll do. And FPX expect that to happen, because what we're about to get is a Sova ult to check that that isn't happening, because what ends up happening is, as you can see, they just given the time to rotate because none of these Liquid players are pressuring anywhere else. And I think FPX are really confused at this point, because they're like, why is that going on? So Xiao just blinds ult on the Sova. And if you look at where he's trying to ult, he's ulting like here. He's ulting this. Look, he's pinged on the map this, because they just believe, oh, that they must have done this to do a fast A hit. You know, to do this fast A split hit. That's what they must be doing it for. They didn't. Xiao is thinking like, you know, like, oh, these are a good team. This is what they must be doing. They haven't done that at all. And Xiao ends up, I think, very confused. And he sends his first 2 ults there and he doesn't hit anyone. And he's like, what's going on? And then on the third one, he like aims directly at Scream here, you know, like all the way up in mid, and he hits him. I'm sure Xiao at that point was thinking like, what are they doing? Where are they? Why are they all the way back there? Why did they just kill Yampy for free? And I honestly still don't know the answer to that question. And now let's come to, again, the very next round. And again, this is kind of like a force buy here. You know, they do have rifles, so it's still possible, and Yampy has the knives as well. So let's take a look at what they do. So, again, they start with this kind of quick aggression here towards mid. And they're going to be pretty successful with this. You know, it's actually going to go pretty well for them. And as we watch this through, we're going to get artists. Well, we get a bit of lag there on the stream, a classic Valorant Riot stream there. But here we go. 1:15, 1:16 on the clock, and they get control of market here. They're ready. You know, with the way that Scream and you know, Yampy, sorry, are in here, you know, you'd think again that this would be a fast B split. But again, we have these 3 players here. One thing I must point out, and I really must point this out, why is Soulcast here? Why is your Sova here? I don't know. Because if this is happening, you'd expect maybe that the position of either the Astra and Sova or the Killjoy and Sova would be swapped. And this would be an Astra or Killjoy watching maybe any fast flank down here. Because your Sova, you probably want to use a dart onto the site so that that can help, you know, your KO and your Jet get in on the site. And, you know, then make a push from 2 sides. That would be a nice idea. But Soulcast is down here for some reason, watching the flank. Don't know why, and that's going to cost them, because what's eventually going to happen is Xiao here on the FPX side doesn't have a recon dart. Just keep that in mind. And what's going to happen is it is going to be so slow. So they have full market control at 1:16, let's say. They are not going to get into the site for the next 20 seconds. They flash themselves as well. That's just like an extra thing. But look, let's take a look at when they actually get in onto the site. So Soulcast has just joined them there in B main, and now he's droning out. So it takes them to 58 seconds to actually make this move. So about 18 seconds for them to make the move from when they actually got the control of market there. But guess what happens in the meantime? During that 18 seconds is, if we watch Xiao here, his dart is just about to come back. There it is. And he's going to send that dart. And then guess what ends up happening there? Well, Yampy misses a couple shots. But then Xiao sends out his dart. It reveals a couple, including Yampy, as we see here. He gets a free kill on Link. He gets a free kill on Yampy spamming through there. All of a sudden, they're in a 5v3 because they took so long. Because their Sova was guarding the flank. For no reason. There's no reason why that should be a Sova. And again, it just goes to show like the lack of sort of thought that's going into this. You know, that it's just 5 people, you know, understanding generally what a team is supposed to do, but not really doing it as the roles that they're meant to be doing all of the time. And it's just 5 individuals trying their best.